You're watching TVC News. Now, Britain will place travelers arriving from COVID-19 hotspots in quarantine in hotels from February the 15th after criticism that it wasn't moving fast enough to bring in the measure. The mandatory 10-day stay in government-provided accommodation is designed to tighten borders against mutant strains of the coronavirus, which could endanger Britain's vaccination program. The quarantine will apply to states on a red list where COVID-19 variants are prevalent, including South Africa and countries in South America. The UK government said it had been consulting with the travel and hotel industries and would now finalize plans, including contracting hotels near ports and airports. Now, today is International Day for Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. The UNFPA estimates there may be as many as 2 million cases of female genital mutilations by 2030 that would have otherwise been averted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, joining me now to discuss this is a female gender mutilation advocate, Raymond. Okpani, good to have you on the news at this time. So today we're celebrating the female genital mutilation. How far have we gone to abolish this practice?
Thank you so much for having me. It's interesting being here again. I was here last year, exactly 6th of February. So today is International Day of Zero Tolerance. Actually a day mapped out to celebrate and also to support women on how best we can stop the practice, the harmful practice of female genital mutilation globally. Yes, a lot has happened in terms of the way forward, trying to stop the campaign, but there's still a lot of work to be done because female genital mutilation is actually anchored in the culture of people. So it means that no matter how hard you want to try, no matter how hard you want to enforce the practice, there is a limit to how much you can really push people. We still have people who have to go at the background to still perpetrate the act, even though we have law enforcement and a lot of things. But come on, you cannot just tell somebody to stop the same thing that has actually kept them, for so many years, even when they were not yet born. So a lot of work has been done. The government, the stakeholders, community members are beginning to train a lot of people in various communities to really see the reasons why in the beginning it was a good thing to do. Maybe there was a right motive around it, but I mean, we have evolved. A lot has happened. So we need to now understand that the negative, the effect is more than whatever benefits that we were meant to believe. A lot of people are beginning to die, contract a lot of infections, just the same way like COVID came, and then we are now forced to see that most of the things we really held so much strong to are not really how it is. We can actually live an entirely different life. We can actually adjust our lifestyle in such a way that it can suit us. That's the same way the same culture is not made. Culture is actually made to suit human beings. Human beings were not made to suit culture. So in which case, no matter how strong, no matter how, how we hold on to culture, we must be able to adjust our lifestyle. We must be able to adjust our belief system such that we will see the other side of the same thing that we have held so strongly. These days, because we don't really connect the dots. I was listening to an activist from Sierra Leone who was talking about how she was, mutilated when she was about 3 years old. And when they eventually moved to Australia, and she started advocating for this in this campaign without really knowing that this happened to her until when she studied about the 4 types of female genital mutilation, and she got to understand that that she had actually undergone type 2, which is actually the removal of the labia majora entirely, and she saw that she was affected. And it's now dawned on her. She had a flashback to what happened while she was 3 years old, and I mean, she got to her mother to say, "Why did you do this to me?" And it continued to affect her because almost every time we see women that are probably not performing at optimum, and you get to think that they are dumb or they are useless or they cannot perform. Most times it is as a result of a lot of psychological issues. They got to think about a lot of things, just like maybe somebody that was raped.
You have a lot to talk about this matter, but when you were talking about, you said could be as a result of culture, beliefs, and all of that. How can we break away from culture, which has been a part of us, knowing that female genital mutilation is is a culture system. How can we break away from that, knowing that we are evolving, that female genital mutilation should not be practiced today?
So it takes a lot of things to dive into culture. For you to even say you want to change a culture, it's a whole lot. Because in some places, you don't get to talk about it. For instance, issues around female genital mutilation are things that have actually thrived in silence. Before now, nobody dare talks about it because it involves the female external genitalia. Nobody dares talk about it. In fact, you're not permitted to even mention the name of your sex organ. Nobody is permitted to say a vagina. You got to mention a penis. It was a no-no. So the same thing it is with culture, in such a way that once you start getting close to the same thing that people hold so sacred, it becomes very difficult. But how do you delve into this space in such a way that you want to change the narrative? It has to be by getting close to the people that are actually performing this practice and trying to, first of all, understand, from their perspective. You want to see these things from their own lens, right? You get into a community, they say the reason why they are doing this is because they want to stop women from promiscuity. You want to also get close to them to say, oh, I understand where you're coming from. But you have to now start bringing instances, start bringing examples of people who did not pass through the process, but they are doing extremely so well. So they say, if you don't do it, you are not clean, or you are not holy, you are not permitted to be a woman. You get to show examples. But you can't do this if you are not close to the people, in which case you can't just start, talking bad against people, attacking them like they've done the worst thing on earth. No, because they were meant to believe that this is actually what they grew up to know this, that this is. In fact, some people don't even know why they are doing it. They tell you, my grandmother did it to my great-grandmother did it to my grandmother, my grandmother did it to my mother did it to me, I'm going to do it to my daughter. Why? Just because it happens to me.
All right, and that's a fine place to leave it. I know you have a lot to say, but thank you very much for your insight so far. Raymond Okpani, female gender mutilation advocate. It's a pleasure to have your thoughts on the news.